in this moment. There you go. So let me see. I will share my screen as well. Okay, guys. So we are going to be, wait a minute, so I can share the sound as well. We are going to be working on the session 1.3, which is a lesson that we had to work on. I'm sorry for the rest of you guys that I know that you haven't covered so far lessons 1.1 and 1.2, but it would be just impossible to go back there and with the whole group. But I believe we can start from here. Um, okay, guys. So for those of you who come from the other group, as I said, remember this book is extremely important because the syllabus of the course is based on this book. So you could go to the very first pages here and you will find all the topics. Give me a second here. You will find all the topics from the what week? Oh, Alejandra, week number 3. Week number 3. That's the week where we get the homework, which is this week. So as I was telling you guys that you have all the topics and activities that we must do according to the syllabus here in this book. Okay, so that's why this book is really important because basically it has got the topics for this subject. And as I said, we're going to be covering the lesson 1.3. So I'd like everyone, all of you guys, to go directly to the page number 10 of the book. Okay. And that's exactly what we're going to be working on. Yeah, guys, the activity is it's active basically in this moment. Yeah, let me just double check. I'm sorry, guys, but there are some people who are asking some questions about homework. So let me just double check everything's correct. Yeah, you can send it. I mean, I'm 100% sure you can send it. Unless you are in the you were in the other group. If you were in the other group, of course you cannot see the homework because that would be, I mean, this homework would be only for my original group because they are assigned to my model, so they will see the homework there. Those of you who come from Fernay's group, you don't have to present this homework in this moment because you are not in that model group, just in case. Um, there you go, Lorena. There you go. You're right. Okay, guys. So as I was saying, we're gonna be working on the session 1.3, and the very first thing we gotta do is just to have a look at the yes, only one person per group should upload a homework, guys. I already said that. So we've got basically two very specific goals. The first one has to do with predicting content. And the second one has to do with using a dictionary, which sounds very obvious, but let me tell you something, it is not. So the first one that has to do with predicting content. You may remember, guys, that we have been talking a lot, but I mean, not a lot, but we have been talking about this before, and that has to do with the skills that we need to develop to present international exams. We know that at the end of each one of the terms, we're going to have a test, I mean, the el parcial, right? And that parcial basically follows the structure of an international exam. So we've got, like, you know, tips or things, habits that we need to develop, which are very simple, but they make a very important change. One of them that we already discussed has to do with taking notes as you listen to the listening sections of the exercises or of the test. In that case, just take notes of all the key information, as you will only listen to those listening files 2 times, right? And then you have to answer a number of questions. So predicting content has to do with that as well. And I'm positive that this is one of those skills that we really need to develop when we are going to present exams. But in general terms, as a skill that is going to help you a lot when you read texts and when you analyze texts. So that's very important. So guys, what I'd like you guys to do in this very moment, we're gonna start with a very simple individual exercise. So guys, I would like you to think of a book or film that you have recently read or watched. So let's start thinking about that, okay? I'd like you to think about a book or a film that you have recently watched. A book or a book that you have recently read or a film that you have recently watch. So I'd like you to think about that. But I'd like you to think about a book or film that you believe that your classmates perhaps have watched recently. Uh, which might be hard because there are some cases in which you like some very specific stuff and not everyone like it. Let me tell you something that happens to me a lot, but we are going to think about a movie or film that we have recently watched or read, but that we know that perhaps our classmates know, that perhaps they know that. Because if you come here with a, you know, with a some sort of um independent Hungarian film, that's going to be a little bit harder for the rest to know. So that's one thing. Once you have thought about that film that you have recently watched, or that book that you have recently read, that you know that your classmates perhaps know something about, the next step is to write 5 keywords that you can that they could, I mean your classmates could use to convey the main idea of the book or film. This probably will be nouns or adjectives. So think about 5 words, either nouns or adjectives, that have to do with that book or that have to do with that film. You know, keywords that could help your classmates know which book or film that you guys have selected. Okay, that is what we are doing right now, guys. So it is as simple as that. Just think about a film, think about a book that you have recently seen or read, and then think of 5 different words, nouns or adjectives that your classmates could use to convey the meaning of that movie or book. Okay, so we get 2 minutes for that, guys. We get 2 minutes. You can just write down those words on your notebooks, on your Word files in your computers or notepads, whatever. It's your decision, but that's what we are going to do. Okay, guys, we've got 2 minutes. Let me just wait for 2 minutes. I've got a sip of coffee. Okay, guys, so time's over. So as you guys have thought of those 5 words that we can use to convey the meaning, we are going to go to the breakout rooms in this moment. And basically what you guys have to do is to show those words to the other people, and they have to, of course, guess the book or the film that you guys have choose. Let me see. Until the answers. Okay, give me a second. Okay. So for example, let me just no, you know what? We're gonna make the breakout rooms in this moment, but this time we're gonna recreate the groups, and we need to make lots of groups as well. Okay, so I think we're gonna create exactly, let's say 20 groups. So you guys, no, 18, just 18. So we can do this exercise. So remember, it is as simple as that. You simply will present your words, and the rest of the group, they have to say, oh, that's book, and the book is this. That's a film, and the film is this. That's basically it. That's what you gotta do. And we're gonna take around 5 minutes to do this exercise maximum. Have you got any question, guys, about this?
So teacher, what we
A
have to
teacher.
do is to talk about this or these 5 words to the group or something.
Yeah, you gotta go word by word. You simply say, okay, these are my words. You read the words. Perhaps, let's say, it might happen that perhaps somebody doesn't know the meaning of one of the words or the context, the connotation, whatever. So you can expand a little bit, but that's it. You simply have to share the words, and the rest of them have to try to guess what movie or what book you guys have chosen. That is it. Okay, that is
Okay.
it. There you go. So let's do this, guys. Let's go to the breakout rooms. 5 minutes. We'll be back here. Okay, guys. So welcome back. So, guys, I've got a very simple question for you now that you guys have concluded doing this exercise. Which words do you believe? And this is, of course, something that would depend a lot on each one of you, but I'd like to hear some of your impressions about the words that you guys believe that help you a little bit more to spot, the actual name of the movie. Is there any kind of word that you said, this word helped me more, know what the movie was about or the book was about rather than other words? Is there any idea, guys, on the words that you believe were more helpful for this exercise? By any chance? I don't know. What kind of reflections are we looking for here? If you say, for example, oh, I found that nouns were more useful, or I found that adjectives were more useful for this reason, for example, that's the kind of thing that I'm asking for. So I don't know if you guys would like to perhaps share any impression on that.
I think that nouns are more useful than adjectives in my case,
Uh-huh.
because adjectives, it's like it's beautiful or I don't know. And many movies are beautiful, many movies are terrified or something like that. But in the case of nouns, it really describes or it's a part of a character of the movie or describes also the title of the movie or which genre it belongs
Uh-huh.
to. So it's easier for me guessing how it's the movie about or the book about by nouns than rather than the adjectives.
Thank you very much indeed, Diego. I will not share, I will not say yet if I agree or not. I just would like to listen to another person at least, and then I could perhaps try to wrap up that. So anybody else, guys? Please, yeah, my late? No, okay.
Well, yes, teacher. That
Yes,
is
Felipe?
basically we can use like better with nouns. As Diego said, I agree with him because well, we can see more deeply like how or what is the movie about. Because yes, with like we can mix like adjective with nouns. For example, a beautiful girl, a beautiful town, and whatever. That is like
Uh-huh.
we can mix.
There you go. Well, thank you very much, Felipe and Diego. I totally agree with that. I believe that the words that are more useful in this context for predicting content are nouns, and basically because nouns refer to the characters and the places where the plot takes place, and of course that's gonna make a huge difference when we want to predict this sort of content. So now I'll share my screen again, and I will ask you another very specific question on this. So let me see. So guys, I'd like you to go over these posters we've got here. These posters we've got a couple of movies, right? As you can see. So let me see. So we've got these two posters here, right? And my question would be, what is the common theme? What is the theme that perhaps we can see in common with these two posters? These two films are connected somehow. I mean, clearly not in terms of the plot, but what do these two movies, do you think, have in common? Perhaps they've got something in common. So I'd like you to have a look at those two posters. And then tell me what you perhaps believe they have they get in common, these two different posters. I'll give you just 1 minute to have a look at that, and perhaps try to answer that question.
I think that there is a transformation.
There you go, woman. Very good, very good. That's essentially it. Thank you very much for that. So that's essentially it. So we've got to look at the little, descriptions there. They say a high school student is transformed into a superhero after being bitten by a spider. And the second one, they say an 18-year-old girl is transformed by a witch into a 19-year-old woman. Apart from the fact that we've got a word that says transform, right? There are also nouns that describe the before and after, let's say, and that helps a lot, right? So guys, give me a second as I try to put everything together. It's just a little bit confusing. Oh, there you go. So guys, so yeah, they got something in common, and that has to do with transformation. But before we do that, before we go a little bit more into that, that there is one of these classics on transformation, and we're gonna have a little look at that. But before that, I'd like you to go over the second exercise in this unit, which is the unlock the code. This is also very important. As you will see, guys, the book has got a very specific structure in which they those of you who already covered the previous lessons, you may remember the grammar boxes in which we found, the grammar explanations on the topics we were covering. But in this case, we also find another kind of box, which is called unlock the code, which is basically tips on how to do something, in this case, how to predict the content of a text. So this is what they say. First of all, we need to use the title and any visuals such as photos or graphs, subheadings, and the first sentence to anticipate the content of the text. So that's how we should actually start reading a text, right? This should be the very first thing we do. Then we could think about the vocabulary that you might expect to find about the topic of the text. So of course, if we are reading a manual, for example, a manual for an electronic device, we know what kind of vocabulary we would find there, right? So we know what kind of vocabulary we may anticipate, and perhaps based on that, we also would know if we could read a text just like that, or if we should also think of any additional help like a dictionary, right? That would be the second thing. The third one says, try to predict how a particular type of text might be organized. For example, in an article, what do you expect to read in the first paragraph or the last? This is also very, very important. So those of you who were, I had the chance to work with some of you last year, and we also try to analyze the structure of paragraphs and texts in general. So you know that each paragraph of a text has a particular structure itself, but also depending on the kind of text we are reading, we know that we can expect certain information to be placed in certain places. So for example, if you are reading an article, you know that in the very first paragraph, you will see a general presentation on topic, which is going to set the tone and tell you this is what we are going to be talking about. And also, you know that by the end of the last paragraph is going to have a very clear connection with the first paragraph, which is, you know, the closing paragraph, but those two paragraphs are similar. And the paragraphs in between will be specific to develop certain aspects or certain subtopics in the article. That's the structure of an article. But if we are reading a novel, for instance, that would be completely different, right? So that's something also to keep in mind. And they say read the first sentence of each paragraph, and it often gives clues as to the content of the paragraph. Do you guys remember what's the name of that strategy when we read just the first sentence of each paragraph? Do you guys remember that? How do we call that strategy when we just read the first sentence of each paragraph just to sort of have the flavor of the text that we are reading?
No, teacher.
Don't you guys remember that? Oh, give me a second. Well, this is something which is this is something we quite often it's strongly related to skimming as well. I mean, skimming is not just reading the first sentence of the paragraph, but it has to do with that, which is not reading the whole paragraph. I mean, read the whole text to see what is there, but just to read fragments, so you can have that sort of previous knowledge on the book that you are going to read, for example. And also, as they say, to be prepared to change your mind as you read. So the fact that, as you can see here, so far you have seen the photographs, for example, or graphs. You have also think about the kind of vocabulary that text could have. Also, you have a very general look at the structure, and also you read some sentences, especially the first sentence of each paragraph, just to know what it might be about. But still, we need to be ready to change our mind, and especially if we are reading a text which is not just descriptive, but if it's a narrative text, for instance, there might be some important changes in that case. So guys, let's see what we gotta do. By the way, I don't know if you guys have any question about that, if there's anything that you would like me to elaborate more on, perhaps. No?
No, teacher, thank you.
Okay, so we are going to sort of do what we just had here. And of course, this text is very brief, so it's not the best example, but we're gonna try to do what we've got here. So we've got this article here, although this is super short, of course. But I'd like you to, I mean, this whole article in which we have the two posters, we've got this title, this subheading. So I would like you to do the whole exercise, what we found here on the Unlock the Code. So based on these posters, based on the title, based on this subheading, and perhaps reading the two first sentences of each one of the paragraphs, we've got these two questions. What can you predict about the content of the article from the title, visual, and first sentence? And which of these words might you expect to find in the article? Okay, so we're gonna try to do what we just described from the Unlock the Code using this article. So I give you a couple of minutes just to try to do that exercise individually, answering these three questions, by the way. Okay. That's what I'd like you guys to do. So you guys have 2 minutes to do that, please. Okay, guys, so let's try to go over this together, if you will. So, guys, the first question we've got is, what can you predict about the content of the article from the title, visuals, and first sentence? So, what could we predict in that case, based on this on this recommendations they gave us, and the tips that we could follow in that case? What can you say about that, guys?
That the article is going to be about transformation in movies or in comics or in stories about transforming people.
There you go. There you go. So if we isolate the elements, it would be a little bit different. What if we didn't have the pictures, for example, if we didn't have these posters, and if we just focus on the title? In that case, if it says the power of transformation stories, we wouldn't think about movies or books immediately, right? We would talk about perhaps stories of real people who did something great, just if we focus on the title, you see. But as we have the title and these posters, we start thinking about that specific context, right? When we combine those two elements. And even more if we read the subheading, right? When it says multiplex. So it's like, wow, this is about movies, I'm 100% sure, right? So that's pretty much what these tips are telling us. That's why we've got to do several things, not just the images or not just the title, right? But when you read the title and the first sentence, and we have a look at the poster, pictures or graphs in the text, that's gonna give us a little bit more of a clear idea on what the text is about. Without reading the text, because I hope you haven't read it so far, which of these words might you expect to find in the article, guys? Which of these words we know that we're gonna find in the article based on that, on the images, the title, and the first sentence? What do you think, guys?
Well, we can find protagonist,
Protagonist, spider,
Transformation.
Protagonist, spider, like transformation, of course, right? Castle, because there's one in one of the posters. Right.
Muscle,
Perhaps muscles, if it's related to,
maybe
Spider-Man.
a
Excuse me? Yes, mister? Yes, Felipe?
no,
Some-
teacher.
Okay. So I believe this might be the most obvious, right? The ones that we know that we're gonna find. I would also include cinema as well. We are talking about movies, so perhaps we are going to do. Then the next is, so far, what have we done so far, guys? So we have a look at the title, the first sentence, the images, and we perhaps tried to make some predictions about that. Then we have anticipated that these are some of the words that we are going to look at throughout the text. Now, the third question also says, can you predict what the writer's argument will be? What will the conclusion be? This is a very interesting question, guys. So I would like you to think about that, and please don't read the text, because that would make absolutely no sense. So let's think about that. What can we predict about the writer's argument? What could be the conclusion? Let's think about that without looking at the text, of course, because that would be like, nonsense. So let's think about that, guys. What can we predict about the text? What is the author going to tell us by the end? Let's focus on that. One minute more, guys, just to try to spot this. second, guys, please. I'm sorry. Here. So the question was, what can we predict about the writer in terms of conclusions by the end of this? So guys, without reading the text, what can you say about it? What do you think this person is going to be saying by the end? What would you say?
Maybe from the title, we can assume that transformations change lives, could be.
Okay, so it will show how transformation changed lives. Yeah, you know, like Spider-Man's, for instance, Mr. Parker's life. Yeah, okay, it could be about that. That could be included there in the conclusions. But what else, guys? We know that it's about movies. So
That transformation in movies are something common that tends to be something boring.
there you go. That might be interesting as well to see how the transformations are something very common, and somehow, yeah, when we watch movies, we expect that, right? Somehow, and certain kinds of movies, especially, we know that there will be a transformation process, so we expect that process to happen. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much, Diego. Anybody else, guys? Anybody else, guys? No idea? Okay, guys. So I've got a question for you, a very simple question. As I said, we've got 50 people in this classroom in this moment. We've got 50 people. And in most of cases, just 2 are participating. You know what percentage that is? What would be the percentage of people that we have, you know, that are somehow active throughout the lesson based on the fact that we've got 50 and just 2, 3 people have been participating? That would be, guys, by the way, around 1% of a class. And that is extremely sad. So I believe that if we are 50 here, and let me tell you something, this is not going to be like this just for a couple of days. That's going to take way longer than that. So we need to try to make it, you know, a little bit easier for the rest. And that implies, you know, participating a little bit more actively. So let's see, guys, what we've got there then. What we gotta do now, guys, as you know, as according to the book, we're gonna read the first sentence of each one of the paragraphs and then go a little bit over predicting the content. So let's read, guys. Let me just show it to you again. So we are going to, what we're gonna do now is just to read the first sentence of each one of the paragraphs and try to make these predictions ourselves. Okay, so you guys are gonna do those predictions for you. And then once you have thought about those predictions, you guys are going to read the whole article and see how close your predictions were. Okay, that's basically what we're gonna do. We're gonna read the first 2 sentences, the first sentence, I'm sorry, in each one of the 2 paragraphs, and then just make the prediction in your head, basically, and then you read the whole text. So I'll give you, and see how close your predictions were. I'm gonna give you around 3 to 4 minutes for that, and then we're gonna, you know, discuss it together. So let's do this. Exercise 3, B and 4. That's what we're gonna do. Okay, guys. So what would you say? Do you think that doing this exercise, now that we have, let's say, cover all the different steps of this exercise, if we remember, like, okay, let's see, we gotta read an article, right? Step number one, we read the title. That will be the very first thing we do. Once we have read the title, the next thing we do is have a look at the images, pictures, graphs. That would be the second thing. Then the third thing would be to have a look at the very first sentence or subheading, which in this case is this, right? The one we've got here. Once we have done this, the next thing was to read the first sentence of the paragraphs in the text, right? So those would be the steps to predict the content. So guys, now that you have read the whole text, do you believe that these steps somehow help you? That those steps were useful to anticipate what you would read in the whole text? What would you say, guys?
Yes, I was not kind of wrong. I was near to the to the plot of the of the article.
Mhm.
So yeah.
There we go. Thank you very much, Diego. Who else would like to say anything, guys? So I really need you to help me a little bit with this.
I believe that the steps of watching the pictures and reading like the title and subtitle are the most useful, because normally the title says everything about the text or whatever.
Mhm. There you go. There you go. And apart from that, guys, when there are some, I mean, depends on the text we are reading, but especially in the case of texts in which we find graphs, having a look at the graphs is key, because the graphs themselves can tell you the content of the text. If we think about anything related to economics or demographics, for example, and we have a look at the graphs, that the graphs also include a description of it, and with the title of the graph itself, you will get lots of really important information. Also think about cases in which you are perhaps conducting a literature review for an essay that you need to write, or any sort of academic text that you are preparing. As you check the references or literature that you want to use for your own work, in some cases you should not, I mean, in general terms, you shouldn't read the whole thing, I mean, all the articles 100%, but doing these kinds of things can help you also assess the relevance of the articles that you want to use. My point is, for example, I need to write an assignment for a subject and on any specific topic, and I will read around 10 articles as a preparation for that assignment. So instead of reading articles one by one, you could start using these techniques in order to anticipate the content of those articles or those books that you want to use for your assignment, and establish like priorities. So you say, no, this article I believe is more relevant than this other one. And as you do this assessment process at the beginning, it's going to be a little bit easier for you to know exactly which material to use and why. So I believe that's something also very, very useful. So guys, we're gonna jump now to the second section of this, which has to do with the other objective we had with this lesson, let's say. And by the way, guys, I just remember something. I just remember something. This lesson is very, poorly divided, because if you, as you can see, this article, by the way, the article continues here. So it has happened in some lessons before that people think that the article is just this part, right? But no, the article continues here. The thing is that graphically speaking is not very well divided, right? But of course, as you get here, when as it says, depend on these, we know that the article continues here. But I'm pretty sure that a couple of people here may have ignored the fact that this is also included there, but just in case. Okay, guys, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna work on the exercise 6A, which has to do with vocabulary and how to use a dictionary properly. So guys, this is very simple. We're gonna match the categories, which is 1 to 10, using a dictionary with entries to the questions. So basically, the categories in this left column, which is the kinds of words or kinds of structures, would answer these questions. Okay, so is the word a noun or verb? So that would take us to any of this. So it's a very simple matching exercise. So if you will, guys, we're gonna work this. We're gonna work on this in groups. We're gonna take around 3 minutes, more or less, to do this, and then we're gonna be back here. So I will create the breakout rooms, and you guys can choose the groups yourselves. I'm going to create 20 breakout rooms so you get enough space, but you guys can choose who to work with on this activity. 3 minutes, and then we'll be back here. So let's go, guys. See on the recording. So we're going to conclude this lesson with the exercise 6A, which is extremely important for what is going to be the rest of this content. So guys, as you can see, well, we have 10 different categories on the left and a series of questions on the right that answer to each one of these categories. So let's try to go one by one. So the first one, definition, which is the most obvious, right? Thing we look up when we check a dictionary. So number one goes with which one, guys? Number one.
With J.
With J,
J.
of course. There you go. It obviously goes with J. So this is the main reason why we use a dictionary. And as you'll see, this this list is organized that way. So definition is the top number one reason, right? Why we use a dictionary. Nice. Number two, pronunciation goes with
G.
G.
with G,
G.
of course, right?
G.
How do I say the word? It is as simple as that. We also need to check that. Although, even though it's the number two reason why we check a dictionary, sometimes people don't pay attention that much at it. Although you know that these days dictionaries provide us with all this information very clearly. Number three, word class. A, right? Word class, also known as parts of a speech, right? So what kind of word it is. And that's essential, as you guys remember when we were talking about the difference between form and function. And we already had a look at some examples that showed us that. So it is very important to know the word class as well. Number four, a style or register. A style or register, guys, come on.
E.
E.
I, do you mean I or E?
E.
E. Is this American English?
With
Is
I.
this? No, that's not what you mean. Oh, wait a minute. So it's I, right? That's what I said. Is it E or I? So is this word used in formal or informal situations? So that is what register refers to. Okay, the register. So the register has to do with the level or formality of each one of the languages. Number of the words, I'm sorry. Number five, idiom. It goes with
E.
E. You sure about that? Idiom?
Yeah, it's in American English.
Gotta be careful with that. You gotta be careful with that.
D.
D.
There you
Oh
go.
my God.
Is the word used in phrases with a non-literal meaning? Remember that when we talk about idioms, we are talking about fixed expressions that mean certain things. So just to give you a very quick example of an idiom, let me just have a look at one of them. Oh, one that I use a lot, for example, it's a piece of cake, right? I say this a lot. So that's an example of an idiom. So it's a piece of cake. So in that case, knowing that an expression is an idiom is going to help you know if you have to take it literal or not. So that's what idiom refers to. And then we have number 6, which is the associated grammar. Associated grammar, guys, number 6.
Maybe E.
E, is this American English? That has nothing to do with grammar, by the way.
Maybe B. C.
B. The actual answer would be B in that case. Is it countable or an uncountable noun? Is it followed by a preposition? So that has to do with that. So it's that grammar that refers to that specific word and how that is going to also help us understand the word a little bit better. Then we have number 7, which is the variety, which is variety, guys.
Maybe C.
Maybe
May-
E.
Maybe yes, A. That would be A. Yes. Is this American English? Is this British English? Is this Scottish English? Right. So that is what a variety refers to. Okay. Then we've got number 8, connotation.
C.
C. Absolutely yes. That would be C. Does the word have a positive connotation? Just think about examples in which is it okay to say a person is slim versus a person is skinny versus the person is thin? All these 3 words refer to pretty much the same thing, but they've got different connotations. If we say slim, that's a positive connotation. If we say skinny, that's a negative connotation. So that's also something we need to keep in mind. Then we have number 9, synonym.
F.
F, right? Is there and not another word with a similar meaning? And last but not least, of course, then collocation can only go with H. Do these words naturally go together? So collocations, just like look for or look up, you know, depending on how you put the words together, the meaning is going to change dramatically. And that's something we need to keep in mind. Okay, guys, so this is what I would like you to do for tomorrow. So I would like you to please cover the next exercises. So that means exercises 7 and 8 and 9 as homework for tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to start having a look at that. So 7, 8, and 9A are going to be our homework for tomorrow. So it is essential you guys cover these steps for tomorrow's lesson. So I think Johanna wants to say something. So yes, miss.
Teacher, the model does not are not allowed to up the
Upload
the
the homework.
infography. The infography.
You can totally do that. Believe me, it's already there. So if it doesn't allow you to do it in this moment, try in 10 minutes again, and it should allow you because I just double check and it says that the actual time for doing that is at 9, but you can do it from 7 to 10 if I'm not wrong. So just try to do it again in 8 minutes, okay?
That teacher is that due date is says Monday 9 August 2021 9 a.m. and the time remaining assignment is overdue by 7 days and 23 hours.
Well, I'm gonna check it again, okay? Just to be sure that we can do it. And at the same time, I'm opening. Thank you very much, Johannes, for letting me know that you were having this issue. So I will try to also to call the attendance at the same time. So give me a second. I will double check that everything's okay. Please give me a second. Oh, come on. Come on, dude. Wow. This is a mess. Give me a second, guys. I'm sorry. It's taking some time. Come on. Wow, what's wrong with this? Oh my God. Give me a second, guys. I'm trying to put this together, but I think it seems like there are some problems with the platform, but I think I just spot it. So let me see again. No, but it's everything okay. It says 17 August 17 since 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. So you should be able to upload the homework right now. Yeah, please try again because it's everything's okay there.
But just with our group, we already uploaded and was without problems.
There you go. Yes, yes. I just double check and everything looks okay. So you should be able to do it now. Yeah, and actually 7 people already sent it. So I think you should double check just in case you are having problems. And if you need my help, just let me know. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna just call the attendance. Guys, remember for tomorrow, we're gonna have this homework, which is exercises 7, 8, and 9, 9A to be more specific from this lesson from the book. Okay, that's what we're gonna do for tomorrow. And let's see what happens, guys. So tomorrow, I hope I've got news on what's gonna happen because of course this changes my original plans dramatically, but still I will do my best to you know, just to help those of you who come from the other group and, you know, provide you with a decent lesson, I'd say. So let's see what happens tomorrow. So tomorrow we're gonna double check that. So I'm gonna call the attendance, guys, but of course I can call the attendance only of my group because that's the only people that have